A lot of times main characters don't come across like main characters. They're not active enough. They're more like participants or bystanders or observers. So today we're going to talk about 3 signs that your main character is falling into that trap and how to fix it. If we haven't met, I'm Megan McLean. I'm a published author who's helped hundreds of writers develop, outline, and write stronger novels. And if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes and I don't want to miss anything. So the first sign that your main character is not yet actively driving the story is they don't have a big enough flaw. A lot of people talk about how characters need flaws. They do, but it's important to remember why. Stories are going to shine a light on that flaw and give your character an opportunity to change. Some characters will change, some characters won't, but instead of giving your character random flaws, think about the one big flaw that the story is going to try to help them overcome. Often though, when we do give our characters flaws, those flaws are too small. They're too vague, they're too safe. And you can tell if a character's flaw is too small if it doesn't significantly affect the choices they're making. They're still able to get through their life relatively okay. They're still able to learn things quickly. They're still able to hold all of their relationships or most of their relationships. And this leads to a main character who is too good, too bland. In other words, their flaw is not contributing clearly to the problems that they are experiencing. So you want their flaw to create more and more problems as the story goes on. A great example of this is Confessions of a Shopaholic. That book is almost hard to read because Sophie Kinsella does such a good job of letting Becky's flaw just wreak havoc over her life. Becky is an overspender. You could say her flaw is a lack of self-control, especially around spending. But it's not like, oh, I accidentally spent too much this month and now I have a problem, so I'm going to resolve that problem really quickly in the next chapter. That would be keeping it small. Instead, it's, holy crap, I cannot stop spending money. Now I'm lying about it, and those lies are leading to more problems, and I'm still overspending, and that's leading to more problems that then I have to lie even bigger about, and that's the difference. So first you have to figure out what their big flaw is, and that's really up to you and what you think the biggest change they're going to experience through the story will be. And once you have that, you make the flaw bigger. And how do you do that? You make it more of your character's personality, more of the focus of who they are. Make it harder, if not impossible, for your character to act in opposition to that flaw. Like Becky should not be saving money at any point in the story if her big flaw is she lacks self-control around spending. Okay, we need to see her doing that. That is her big flaw. And in the same vein, you can make their flaw bigger by having it affect more of their choices. You can ask yourself, what is motivating this choice that they're making? Is it that flaw or is it something else? And that leads us to the second sign your character is not actively driving your story yet, which is their choices don't reflect their flaw consistently. When I'm reviewing writing, this is what I usually see. Choices that the character is making are based on different flaws throughout the entire story. And again, that's usually just a sign that the writer either doesn't know what the big flaw is or the flaw is not big enough. So that means that just a bunch of flaws tend to come out. And obviously your character is going to have more than one flaw, but we're talking about making one of their flaws bigger so that it impacts more of their choices. When choices are based on different flaws throughout the whole story, what that tends to do is make your character really inconsistent. It's like they're very impulsive in chapters 1 and 2, but then they're more patient in chapter 3. Editing Megan here. What I mean to say is that your character will end up being motivated by inconsistent things. So it's not that being patient is a flaw, it's that being patient does not align with being impulsive. So if they're driven by impulsivity in one chapter, but then they're really patient in the next chapter, that kind of inconsistency is what I'm talking about. Not that it's always a flaw that's driving their decisions, if that makes sense. Okay. So when you're not sure what your character's big flaw is, you end up writing a less consistent character. Let's think about our girl Becky again. Yes, maybe her big flaw is low self-control, but she also struggles with impulsivity. She struggles with honesty. That's not her only flaw, but that's the big one that the story is shining a light on to move her toward change. And so that one needs to be the piece that affects more of her choices. Doesn't mean it has to affect every choice. Again, she's got other flaws, but it's helpful if it all stems back to that one. Okay, so let's recap really quick. You want to pinpoint a big flaw for your main character that you want your story to shine a light on. Then see whether your character's choices are connected to that flaw consistently. Practice asking, what's motivating my character to make this decision? Why did they just choose to do that? Is there a common thread? Am I all over the place? The third sign your character is not actively driving your story yet is that their choices don't have consequences that matter. The great thing about this is it all works together. So the flaw influences their choices, which lead to consequences. If your character's choices create consequences that don't really matter, that's a sign you've got to go back to their flaw and make it bigger, or you have to have it affect more of their choices. Probably both. So let's talk about some examples of choices with little to no consequences. Your character chooses to venture into the wilderness toward their next destination, and they just kind of travel there. Maybe they accidentally get lost. Maybe they struggle to learn how to use a sword. But overall, they're able to get to their destination pretty simply. Or maybe somebody insults your character and they just fume silently, or they leave the room, the scene ends, nothing changes, no tension is created. Or maybe they make up with that character really quickly, sometimes often in the same scene. The problem with all of these is that the character is not getting in the way at all. They're on a journey, but who they are doesn't make that journey harder. They're insulted, and who they are doesn't make that argument worse. It does not strain the relationship and take it to a worse level. It's like, how would their big flaw influence the choice that they make when they get lost? That's what you want to start thinking about. Not just what would anyone do if they got lost, not what would I do if I got lost, but what would somebody with this big flaw do to make this decision? That's what you can start thinking about in your scenes. One really simple way to start giving your character's choices consequences that matter is by compounding those consequences. A lot of time in beginner writing, I see consequences that just don't linger long enough. Again, it's like the argument happening in chapter 3 and it's resolved in chapter 3. The character gets lost in chapter 4 and they also get out of that in chapter 4. There's no growing tension as obstacle after obstacle builds on itself. So you want to start compounding your consequences. That will naturally up the stakes of your story and keep it really moving forward well. And again, that's easier to do when your main character has a bigger flaw that influences more of their choices consistently. This is how that looks for our girl Becky. She racks up thousands of pounds of dollars, she's British, in debt. She receives reminder letters from her bank that she ignores. She wants to keep shopping, so she borrows money. She lies about gifts. She creates a lot of cover-ups. Those lies and excuses and purchases lead to bigger lies and bigger excuses and bigger purchases. And those lead to bigger consequences, like her neighbors losing a lot of money. Becky putting her credibility, all of her relationships, her career, all at risk. Everything is at risk of falling apart because of all of these stacking consequences. But again, those consequences stem from her one flaw influencing her choices consistently, leading to big consequences that stack throughout the entire story. And if you're sitting here going, all right, well, I don't even really know what my character's flaw should be, then definitely watch this video next. It'll help you figure it out. I'll see you over there.